Oh, sorry, ice cream truck. Hold on.
Ice cream truck. It's a new one.
There's always something new in the city, Danielle. Hello and welcome to Spook Retorts.
Excellent work, Sam.
Thanks for the enthusiastic backup there, Danielle.
Woo-hoo, Spook Retorts.
Mediocre work, Danielle.
Spook Retorts.
That's better. Okay, I give that one an A+.
Oh gosh, okay. This is Sam, everybody.
Yes, I'm Sam.
I'm Danielle.
And this is the podcast about sharing your weird media finds with your friends who don't know what you're talking about.
And I don't. What are we talking about today, Sam?
Today we're talking about a little 2014 film called Wolves.
I have not seen it. You were worried that I had for some reason, but definitely not.
I was worried about halfway through watching. I'm like, this is something Danielle would watch, and I normally wouldn't.
Now I'm curious.
Yeah, it'll become obvious as we get into it. So,
looking forward to this now.
2014 movie starring Jason Momoa.
Of course, why not?
Yeah, Lucas Till and Stephen McHattie, and some other people who I don't remember, and were apparently not enough to be top billed.
Stephen McHattie and Wolves. Funny.
What?
Never mind. Move on.
Was this a literary joke?
No. Catty, wolves, dogs, wolves. Come on, Sam.
You say McHattie?
What did you say?
It's McHattie.
McHattie, like a cat.
No, like a hat.
Oh, McHattie. Yeah, I heard McHattie.
It's McHattie.
McHattie. Got it.
Yeah, okay.
You should enunciate better.
I said it just fine. They have the same phonemes, Danielle. I can't make it any better.
Anyway, wolves. What's happening to wolves, Sam?
Well, here you go. Here's a summary. Figure it out.
Ouch. Rough start to Spook Retorts, everybody.
We had a linguistic difference already.
It's gonna go well.
It's gonna be great. Are you kidding me? I'm looking forward to this.
It says, high school senior Cayden Richards must flee his small town after the murder of his parents leaves him as a prime suspect. You're not supposed to flee. He wanders without purpose until he meets Wild Joe, a violent lunatic who sets Cayden on a path to the ominous town of Lupine Ridge to hunt down the truth of his heritage. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this.
This movie was nothing like what I expected, Danielle, and that description, while accurate, is also not very generous in what it does for this movie.
Those are your favorite descriptions.
I kind of love those when they're like just right enough to be, reasonable, but not so right as to be not misleading.
All right, what happens?
Gosh, I wish I knew. All right, this movie, I don't know where the budget went, but it wasn't to the title screen because it opens with this purple title, wolves, and then these CG wolf teeth close on the title screen, and it's goofy and I love it.
It's that kind of movie, apparently.
Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't keep up that level of fun.
That's unfortunate.
We see some rapid cuts of indistinct images, and we see a kid, clearly high school age, having a nightmare. He screams no and wakes up to the reassuring embrace of his mother and father, who are in his room for some reason. I don't know, 17-year-olds, I would not go into the room, it'd be there the instant they scream no and be hugging them and come it's okay, honey. That does not seem something you do for a half-naked 17-year-old boy.
Maybe they're right next door, so they heard him scream.
It does not appear so.
Then I don't know.
He also is supposed to be around 17, but he looks late 20s, so...
That's, I think, par for the course for most movies.
So next we get narration from him. Cayden is his name, and I will say that now so I don't have to remember to say it later. And this is a theme throughout this movie where there's just random narration that just goes on, and it tries to be witty, but it ends up just being an info dump of boring.
It's supposed to be internal monologue, or is it just explaining
No, he's talking
stuff?
to you. He is just absolutely just sitting there explaining things. He says, the nightmares were the first sign that something was wrong with me. They were coming every night. My parents wrote them off as raging teenage hormones. Looking back on it now, maybe they were right. Thing is, a guy like me shouldn't have been having nightmares at all. From the outside, my life was a dream. Great school, great friends, beautiful girl on my arm. I was a quarterback in a town where football was the one true religion.
Maybe he needs a therapist.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So that's how this movie opened. And it really makes you root for the protagonist, right?
He's perfect. Don't you love perfect protagonists?
Also, I've never heard a more cliche-filled, like, my life was perfect. It was just like, oh no, what have I signed myself up for? Then we cut to some rapidly edited high school football scenes. The narration continues. Sometimes everyone feels like they don't fit in, but it's becoming clearer and clearer to me that I really didn't fit in. Aw, poor high school quarterback who doesn't fit in.
Life is so hard.
I know.
We're not very nice. Sorry, anybody who was a high school quarterback.
I have nothing against high school quarterbacks. I have something against the movie cliche high school quarterback popular kid who, like, is whinging about how hard their life is because they're so popular.
Absolutely. I'm sure our listeners who are high school quarterbacks were three-dimensional people. So
absolutely. We're actually good people, not these two-dimensional caricatures that these movies portray.
You don't potentially turn into a wolf or whatever happens in this movie.
Yeah, no, okay. We're going to get there. Don't worry about it. Anyway, so he gets tackled hard, and then one of the other opponents, like, mocks him, and then during the next play, the guy just runs up to them after he passes the ball and just headbutts him.
As one does at a football game.
Yeah, but there's like no flag, no whistle, nothing. Just like lets a guy headbutt him and he's bleeding from the nose. He takes his helmet off. And it's like, oh yeah, that's totally okay to happen at a high school football game.
This is why people in other countries are like, American football is nuts.
It's
which it
more
already
nuts
is.
In movies. Yeah. So he just keeps narrating, and I'm just done with the narration because it doesn't matter because the movie is showing you what he's narrating, so it's just redundant.
So it's not even like a tell, don't show. It's like a show and tell.
Yeah, but it's like if it wasn't the narration, it'd be more interesting because I wouldn't be besieged by this boring monotone. Anyway, so he snarls at the other player that makes this huge jumping tackle at him, and they start beating his head in, like just violent. This movie is very violent.
Apparently.
And he actually puts a dent in the guy's helmet. Maybe kills him? Unclear.
I feel like that'd be the front page of the news the next day.
And so there's lightning streaks across the sky. Also no rain, which seems to be a theme for my Spook Retorts movies.
You do like that. Magic, thunder, and lightning.
I should also mention up front, just as a potential warning to some of our listeners, that this movie is very violent, and it does make reference to both suicide and rape. So
good times.
Just letting you all know that.
We're picking some good ones for the Spook Retorts.
Yeah, it's a thing. Just letting you know. It's a fair warning. So then we cut to Cayden being berated by the principal, and he casually mentions that he's interviewed by the police, too. So I'm definitely thinking he murdered that kid.
Oh my gosh. That took a dark turn very quickly.
But he's just sort of free to go because we cut him in a car with his girlfriend bemoaning, I think I'm losing my mind. And she assures him he's not. He's just young and life is complicated.
You just murdered somebody. So no, it's not that big of a deal. Don't worry about it.
Right. That does not excuse freaking murder. Like, life is hard and complicated. I'm going to murder somebody.
Maybe he was just up on charges of, like, violence. What is it called?
Assault or something.
Yeah, assault. That's what I was looking for.
Charges of violence. Yeah, great.
You know what I meant. My brain didn't get there fast enough.
If anyone needs a lawyer, please do not call Danielle.
I'm not a lawyer. I have many other skills. That is not one of them.
But apparently all that murder got her hot and bothered since they start making out hard. But mid-makeout, his face starts to morph as he bites her.
Oh dear.
She freaks out and gets out of the car, and he, like, swipes claws against her back as she runs away screaming.
Does that mean she turns into whatever this half-wolf thing is?
No. She's barely
I just wondering the rules of this, whatever this weird wolfy world is.
Danielle, if I knew the rules to this movie, I would have told you them. I'm going to be bringing this up a lot, but the rules of this movie are nonsense. So we cut to Cayden waking up on a couch with blood on his hands and blood all over the couch. He calls out for his parents.
Where did the blood come from?
Well, he calls out for his parents
Okay,
and he walks around looking for them, and then he finds their torn apart corpses on the floor.
Oh, so maybe him.
Maybe him, yeah. So, yeah, Danielle, you waited 3 seconds, I would have told you.
Sorry, I forgot the prime narrative of that summary, which is that his parents were dead.
Yeah, exactly. The one thing that summary did tell you that was useful was his parents were murdered.
I know, but he had just swiped at that girl, so I was like, was there really that much blood? That's what confused me.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, the blood is definitely from another incident. This movie also cuts a lot and does not connect its scenes.
So dead parents. Very unfortunate.
Suddenly, a police spotlight is shining through the window. His presumably now ex is there in the cop car with the cops, and I don't know why the cops brought her to the house of her assailant. That does not seem like something they should or would do.
So it's just like hours later.
Hours? An hour? I have no idea.
So he swipes at his girlfriend, he goes home, takes a nap, maybe murders his parents, and then the police show up.
Yeah.
Okay.
With the ex-girlfriend now,
okay,
who's there in the car going like, that's Cayden, he's in there. I'm like, they know where his house is. Why do they need to bring you. Oh, boy. So then Cayden screams and starts to transform completely into a wolf form. So
when you say wolf form,
yes.
Can you please describe more fully what that means so I can visualize
it's like it's very werewolfy. He's, human, bipedal, but like wolf face, wolf claws, that kind of thing.
Your standard werewolf, not a wolf. Wolf.
Yep, standard werewolf. It looks, the makeup and / costumes are actually pretty decent in this movie.
I'd hope so with a movie called Wolves.
Well, I don't know if all the budget went there and nowhere else because it's hard to say.
Well, if you're only going to pick one thing in your movie to spend your budget on.
I mean, that's fair. For a movie called Wolves, put it into the wolves. So as Cayden screams and transforms, his ex calls him a monster, and he hears her because wolf hearing, I guess. And
does she call him a monster because she sees him transforming?
I don't know. It's hard to say.
Okay.
It's just like, he's in there. He's Cayden. That's Cayden. He's a monster. Something like that. I don't know if she's referring to the fact that he attacked her or if he's transforming. Who cares? They're just saying things for dramatic effect.
Well, I just wasn't sure if the cops had also seen him transform or not.
I don't know. And the movie doesn't seem to care. And I don't think they do.
As long as it doesn't matter. Continue.
Does not matter. So he hears his ex call him a monster and he breaks out of a window and runs off into the woods. Cut to Cayden hitchhiking down the road, still narrating, whining about how he drifted from town to town, worried he'd lose control and kill again. And I am summarizing this narration because it goes on for a long time.
So this is apparently a case of some kid that just randomly turned into a werewolf. There was no precursor, I'm having weird symptoms or rage attacks or
Well, I think the dreams were his precursor.
That's all he gets. He doesn't get a little bit of fur on his hand or something that's maybe
this isn't Teen Wolf.
I was just curious.
He gets nothing, Danielle. He gets some dreams and then becomes a wolf.
You didn't understand your prophetic dreams? Sorry, you're a wolf boy now.
That'd be the best. You understand your prophetic dreams? Suddenly you're, the Queen of England. Who knows? It'd be great if prophetic dreams actually worked that way, where you had them, you didn't understand them, then suddenly something happened. That was probably because of the dream.
If only I'd understood them.
So we cut to a gas station. Cayden is being dropped off by a trucker, and a random woman approaches him and is like, "You want to hang out?" Clearly soliciting him.
Right.
He refuses and goes off into a restaurant for coffee. The TV shows an interview with his ex, where she's explaining how he attacked her the same night of the murders.
Uh-oh.
So apparently this is big news that is traveling all across the state, the West Coast. I don't know where this movie takes place or how far he's hitchhiked in however many days it's been, but apparently the news is still everywhere.
Is he turning into, we may not know this or maybe this will come up later, but when does he turn into a werewolf?
Oh, I'll cover that.
Okay, all right.
Then the TV reporter asks, did he ever show any emotional problems over the fact that he was adopted? Which, wow, hell of an offensive question to ask. He was adopted. That must be kind of emotional problems. Also, B, just dropping the conversation because the fact that he was adopted is news to both his ex and Cayden, who learns it from this random TV interview he's watching at this restaurant. It just happens to be on.
Was that a closed adoption? How did they find out about it?
I don't know, Danielle. The news reporter knows it's their adopted. Dig for clues, I guess. And apparently he said, "Oh, this kid murdered his parents. Well, he's adopted. Must have emotional problems because I'm the worst reporter ever and a terrible human being." Curious. So anyway, I'm glad the expositional news program was on to explain to Cayden that he was adopted.
Yeah, apparently from wolves.
Actually, not far off.
Woo! I wrote this movie.
I mean, that was obvious from the first, but we'll get to that. So he walks out of the restaurant and he sees a group of men beating the girl that propositioned him earlier. And they're just sort of laughing and they're just having a good time. And he is not going to stand for that because Cayden's a good boy.
Other than the murders.
Well, except for the murders. He confronts them, telling them to leave her alone, saying, "You hit her again, you're going to lose that hand." As one of his hands transforms into claws.
So I guess he can power over it now?
I was going to say, apparently he can just he's mastered the skill of partial wolf transformation.
Maybe as he was walking along all the highways and byways, he's like, let's practice the skill.
At this point, I was really hoping this movie would be like that old Hulk TV show where he wanders from town to town, trying to hide the fact that he's a monster, but it comes out as he tries to do good things or whatever. And the movie did not go that way, which is disappointing.
It is disappointing. I feel like Werewolf on the trek across America would have been a fun show to watch.
Yeah, exactly. Like a werewolf moving across America trying to do good and hide the fact that they're a monster. Anyway, that would have been a better movie. But then we get this movie, so we'll keep going. So one of the guys pulls out a gun or a metal rod or a knife. First it's a baton, and then then he pulls out a gun later. I don't understand what's going on. These scenes are very unclear fight scenes.
He's like those people that has 8 different things on him. They just take off his body.
And so Cayden just goes bonkers, slashing and just murders the two guys. And blood splatters across the camera. And it's just very graphic. This is a rated R movie, so it does not hold back with the violence. But it does hold back in other ways, which I'll mention later, that are weird. So he just straight up murders these two guys and does not cut off their hand. So his threat to cut off their hand seems to be unfulfilled, unless I missed it.
That's unfortunate. So
no, he did cut off their hand. I don't know.
They did cut off the hand?
I think he did. I don't remember, Danielle. It was hard to keep track of what was going on. They're very fast.
Is he just overtaken by the rage at this point? Or is it like a calculated move, like I'm going to murder these two dudes?
No, it seems like when he turned into a wolf, he sort of went down like a primeval sort of path of animalistic aggression.
Got it.
So as Cayden is ditching his bloody clothes, he steals the bike.
What about the girl?
She just ran away.
Okay. Watched the whole thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'd run away too, to be fair. If I saw a guy turn to a wolf and murder two guys, I'd be like, I'm out of here. Not sticking around for this. So as Cayden is ditching his bloody clothes, he steals the bikes of the guy he killed, like one of the bikes of the guys he killed. And he's still narrating about how the only cure he's read about in the literature for werewolves is suicide.
What literature?
Like he Googled werewolves, I'm guessing.
I feel like there are probably more ways to die as a werewolf. Is it the classic one, silver bullets, chopping off your head? Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, but like he'd have to kill himself is the point, I think is what he's getting at. Like there's no one's going to kill him for him.
Maybe you just keep murdering people. Give it a go.
I'll also point out that we'll learn later, he doesn't know what he's talking about. So, we cut to another biker bar. He's at the bar. He meets some weird old dude who's chatting with him about how tough life is. The old man identifies Cayden as afflicted and reveals he's also a wolf by flashing some fangs. So apparently, werewolves in this universe can just transform parts of their bodies at will.
How do they know that the other people are afflicted? Is there like a neon sign?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess he smelled it or something.
He just
scent. Does.
Scent, definitely.
The man, whose name is Wild Joe.
Oh, yeah. Summary.
Yep. Is surprised Cayden never knew he was a werewolf. He's like, didn't your parents ever teach you? And Cayden's like, well, I was adopted. And the guy's like, oh, okay.
That's common.
Cayden asks how he can stop it, and Joe's like, why would you want to be like them? And Cayden insists he can't control it, but Joe is like, you're not supposed to control it. You know, did your parents teach you anything? And I'm like, wait a minute. So if they were really hereditary werewolves just running around out of control everywhere, I think people would notice, maybe?
Not if they're attributing all the murders to just regular murders.
I mean, these murders don't look like regular murders. They are very gruesome.
Sam, I don't know. It's an alternate reality. Maybe the police are just really terrible at their jobs. That's not even an alternate reality necessarily. Just in this reality, apparently wild murders, wolf murders, don't arouse much attention.
It doesn't make any sense. But Joe tells him his parents are probably from, his non-adopted parents are probably from back east, from the old parts of this pitiful new world. So I guess he means the East Coast, not like Eastern Europe, where werewolves, like, you know, the whole myth sort of arose.
Right.
Which I think is fun. Like, I want to meet a bunch of, like, posh New England werewolves.
I'm pretty sure that's actually how it works.
Yeah, probably. So then Joe goes on to explain that bitten wolves aren't pure. They're like mutts. But other werewolves are the most vicious, secretive pack on Earth. So like the purebred, the werewolf grouping are secretive and vicious. He then says he said too much. But Cayden insists Joe tells him how to find more werewolves.
He said too much to the other werewolf?
I know. It doesn't make any sense. Like, oh, I revealed too much about how werewolves exist to the guy who's a werewolf. Your
parents would have told you anyway.
Yeah, I know. Joe seems reluctant to help, but agrees to show him the way if he keeps it a secret that, like, Joe told him. Cayden agrees. Then Joe just punches Cayden, and while Cayden is nursing his beaten face, Joe throws a dart at a wall and leaves and just disappears while Cayden's distracted.
Okay.
Then Cayden notices that before he left, the dart he threw hit a map hanging on the wall of the bar.
No, what? Why not just tell him?
It's square on a town called Lupine Ridge because of subtlety.
That's just stupid.
That's
as bad as saying, I can't tell you over the phone, we'll have to meet in person, and then you die on the way there.
Because literally everyone else, whoever sees that map, is going to see a giant dart hole where Lupine Ridge is. Also, if it's on a map, it can't be that big of a secret.
Wild.
Anyway, this movie does a lot of this weird, like, it's trying to be very stylistic, where it's like, you know, no one just says anything. They have to do all these weird, but it just comes off as shenanigans, and like, why can no one just speak like a human being?
That's just stupid. They were already talking about werewolves out loud, and then you drew the line at where the city was.
Not even what it was called. You could have Googled Lupine Ridge or something. Also, just putting this out there, if you're trying to keep your secret wolf society secret, don't call your town Lupine Ridge.
I know, it should be like Centerville or something. Like it just needs
should be called Human Town.
Human Town. We're all human here, we swear.
It'd be less blatant than Lupine Ridge.
Human Town.
All right, so Cayden hops on his stolen motorcycle as Joe watches him ominously from the roof of the bar. One blurry driving montage later, Cayden arrives at Lupine Ridge, a small town in the middle of nowhere.
Do they all have motorcycles? I feel like every story ever just has werewolves riding motorcycles.
She immediately takes to the biker lifestyle and that he stole this bike from these two guys he murdered. I'm sure he's never ridden a motorcycle before in his life, and apparently he's just a natural.
Well, yeah, it's a werewolf. Sam, I just said every werewolf ever rides a motorcycle.
I just want to point out that I know people who ride motorcycles, and it is not as like, oh, if you can drive a car or ride a bike, you can ride a motorcycle. They are very different.
They are very different. That's why you have to take special classes.
I know. It's very dumb. Anyway, he finds another biker bar, I guess the only bar in town, and everyone stares at him as he enters, including Jason Momoa, who is playing Connor.
Connor, probably the werewolf. Is he in charge of the werewolves?
Danielle, come on.
Sorry. You know how I like to ask preceding questions to the answers you're going to give me.
That I'm going to give you in like 15 minutes. The bartender looks like she's drunk and asks why he came here as she gets him a beer. Cayden's like, does any work in this town? And she just laughs. Is like, nope. That's when another girl walks in behind the bar. So apparently this is her sister and is also the bar owner / tender. Their eyes lock and intense music plays as the camera goes all slow-mo and they have this big, long, hard stare at each other.
Are they having like a werewolf mating session? They're destined. We're destined.
It's like they're eye-boning. It's happening. It's absolutely what's happening. So Cayden just stares creepily at her as another girl comes up to the bar and asks him to dance. He rebuffs her, and she walks away disgusted at his rejection.
Well, can't she see that he's obviously having a moment with this other werewolf lady bartender?
Yeah. Clearly. The girl behind the bar asks him his name, and he gives a fake name, but I'm still going to call him Cayden because nobody cares.
Okay, why? Because he specifically went here for werewolves. Why doesn't he just say, I'm a werewolf, here you all werewolves?
Because he didn't know that they're all werewolves yet.
It's called Lupine Ridge.
Yeah, Danielle, I'm with you, but apparently he wants to play coy. And when he asks her name back, she gets a certain look from Connor and clams up and leaves. That's when another drunk guy comes up, accusing him of harassing his girl, the blonde one who he rejected.
Uh-huh.
Cayden denies it, and that's when the girl behind the bar, who goes by Angel, tells them both to cool it. That's when everyone else in the bar stands up and approaches Cayden too, and she's like, I'm gonna throw you out. Like, you're gonna throw us all out? As they're all like sort of menacing Cayden. So Cayden's like, all right, you know what? I'm just gonna leave. And so he leaves. But we cut to him just standing outside in the bushes watching the bar from across the street.
It's not weird at all.
No. So Peter's like, I want to leave. He goes, just stands in the bushes for a few hours watching the bar until he sees the guys who hassled him leave.
And he just go back into the bar?
Well, as they leave, once they're gone, he leaves his bushes and he's walking towards the bar. But as soon as he gets out into the street, an old man smoking a very long pipe says, hey, I hear you're looking for work. I got work. And Cayden's like, sure, sounds good.
This town isn't weird at all.
Nope.
He's really adapted to this lifestyle, considering, 15 minutes ago he was an all-star quarterback for his tiny little town.
Also, he's still like 17, but suddenly, he's like a young adult out on his own at this point. Suddenly he's like 20. Like, this is why I'm talking about, like, it's not just that his character is 17 and he doesn't look like it because he's an older actor. His character doesn't act 17. He acts like he's 25.
Does he seem torn up at all about his parents dying?
I mean, kind of. A bit later he goes into it, but I mean, no, this movie does not have any real emotional depth to its characters.
Okay, well, great.
So the man whose name is John takes him to his farm. We cut to the next morning. Cayden meets the wife, and idyllic music plays as he rides a tractor.
Music always plays when you ride a tractor, Sam. That's just how it works.
Well, they have radio, so yes.
Even in real life, it is.
Cayden demonstrates incredible strength by moving a massive rock from the field. The farmer is impressed, and Cayden is just terrible at being inconspicuous.
Okay, another question. Sorry, it just occurred to me. So, while Joe knew that he was one of the chosen, yet
one of the werewolves by smelling it.
By smelling him, and this town, or do they also know? Because wouldn't they have the same ability?
Maybe they're not werewolves, Danielle. Maybe there's like 1 or 2 werewolves in the whole town
That's a
or
possibility.
something.
I was just curious if anybody else knows that he's a potential werewolf.
Danielle, we will get to much of that later.
Excellent. All right.
So again, Cayden is just terrible at being he's trying to hide he's being a werewolf. Moving giant boulders that are impossible for any normal human to move are just not inconspicuous.
Yeah, that's a poor choice.
So then he starts narrating again, and he says, I came to Lupine Ridge looking for answers. What I found was this place, a farm. Who'd have thought? Good people with no idea of my problems and seemingly no inclination to pry. And I'm so freaking bored by this werewolf movie. I want more werewolf.
More werewolves in my werewolf movie.
I don't need more narration about how he's found a place at this farm and good, honest work. Like, werewolf it up, man. Come on.
Give it time, Sam. Give it time.
I can tell you, Danielle, it takes so long. But he does chop wood shirtless with a hatchet and also demonstrates that the animals are afraid of him. So, something's happening, I guess. So while he's chopping wood shirtless, that's when Connor shows up. Apparently, he's surprised John, the farmer, hired him. John then shows up and is like, oh, I see you two have met. He's my nephew from out west. Connor does not buy this.
Go figure.
And then John and Connor have a stare down, and then Connor leaves. End scene. That night, there are spooky wolf noises, and the next morning, Cayden goes out to find his sheep mutilated in the pen.
Uh-oh.
John blames it on wolves from the hills, and Cayden is like, you think it was wolves, do you? Like, he knows it was him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like saying that, and then he's like, oh, yeah, wait, wolves, that probably was it. And he just sucks at being under the radar. He's just like, so obvious.
So he thinks the farmer killed it?
No, he thinks that he killed it. Like, he killed his parents. Like, when he blacked out or whatever.
So he's telling the farmer, like, oh, you think it's wolves, but ha ha ha, it's me.
Yeah, but, not saying the last part. He's like, oh, it was wolves from the hills. Like, so you think it was wolves?
Does he remember doing that? Or is he never remembers his kills, right?
Not at this point, no.
Okay.
If it was him at all.
Right.
So that night at dinner, John explains that it happens kind of regularly. Wolves need to eat too, and they come down every now and then, take an animal or two. And then they have a linguistic discussion on the meaning of the word lupine as being not wolf, but wolf-like, and who cares? That night, while watching TV, news comes on about the murder of 2 bikers Cayden killed and how it's similar to the cannibal kid murder of his parents. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Cannibal kid.
First, that's some convenient news timing. Second, how is this breaking news if it happened days or weeks ago when the bikers were murdered? And how is it on this small town's local news? Why? Why is this being broadcast across the biggest news story apparently in the country right now is Cannibal Kid?
Well, it's called Cannibal Kid, Sam.
It's pretty catchy, I'll give you that. But I still don't think it would get this big attention.
No, well, it might, but I doubt they'd be replaying the thing about the motorcyclist several days after it happened.
Again, I have no idea if it's days after or the same. The timeline is unclear.
Well, it's not the same day, but it could be maybe 24 to 48 hours later, I guess.
Yeah, at
based
least.
on what you told me.
So Cayden, as soon as he sees his face put up as a mugshot, he immediately shuts the TV off. And he's tells John and his wife, you know what? I'm going to go into town. Bye. It's the middle of the night, but he's like, all right, gotta go. And he hears wolves howling as he rides off into the town on his motorcycle and goes right back to the bar. As he's walking up to the bar, townsperson is like, hey, Cayden, that's your name, right? Cayden Slaughter? And Cayden's like, who are you? And the man says, I'm Carter. I'm like your second cousin, I guess. The others might be too afraid to say it, but you need to haul ass out of town, kid, or you're going to get us all killed. And Cayden's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Carter's like, he doesn't know who you are yet. Only a few of us do. But you think he's not going to find out? And how is Cayden supposed to make sense of any of this? This is not helpful.
Just give us a subject, man.
Give us a noun. Anything to work with. Movies all the time where they say something people are talking and it's you're supposed to assume everyone knows what they're talking about. But even in this movie, guys, I don't know what you're talking about. So Cayden is very rightly confused. But then Carter's like, it's Connor. He decides who lives and who dies. And then there's Connor watching them from the bar stairs. And then Carter leaves as Connor disappears back inside the bar.
Ooh, spooky.
Inside the bar, everyone is eyeing Cayden again. At the bar, Cayden starts chatting up with Angel about how the town has secrets. Subtle. Angel reveals she inherited the bar when their parents died, and Cayden is like, hey, we have that in common.
My parents are dead too.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly.
I mean, I might have murdered them, but other than that, they're also dead.
Leaves that part out conveniently.
How do you use that as a conversation topic where you may have murdered your parents and you're like, oh, that's weird. My parents are dead too.
How'd they die? Natural causes? A volcano hit them. I don't know.
Wolves, maybe.
So then we cut to Carter, the guy who was talking to Cayden, driving through the woods with a bunch of people. They're taking him to Connor. Carter is rightly very nervous.
Wait, why did they just approach him in the bar, put him in the car?
We don't know. They just somehow they nabbed him while he was outside or something.
Seems like a weird thing to cut.
What? How they grabbed Carter?
Yeah.
Well, after he warned Cayden, he left and disappeared.
It's strange.
And I assume they caught up to him or something.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
They
got him. He's a minor character, Danielle.
Also, question, why are they all, what is it, Cayden, Carter, and Cameron?
Connor. Cayden, Carter, and Connor. I don't know.
Why?
The names suck, Danielle.
Why would they choose these names?
I kept on getting Connor and Cayden mixed up.
That's completely fair. I don't understand. Like, you have the choice of any name in the entire world for your characters. It's not like real life.
No, they insisted on them being Cayden, Carter, and Connor, but Carter doesn't matter. Just Cayden and Connor.
And I threw a Cameron in there. I really thought there was a Cameron.
Nope, no Cameron.
Oh.
There might be, I don't know, maybe another townsperson's named Cameron.
You know I'm bad with names normally. Why would you do this to me?
Anyway, Connor interrogates Carter about talking to Cayden. There we go. It's hard. It's really hard. Connor's like, I have a problem with this kid. I know he's from one of the old lines, but I'm trying to figure out why John hired him so quick. Then Connor grabs Carter by the throat and demands, who is that kid? And Carter continually denies he knows anything. But then they clearly edited out an F-bomb right there. Like when he says, who is that kid? Like, who is that effing kid? Mm-hmm. But they just have they just blanked out the sound. Like the sound is just missing from that
I love when they
part.
do that.
But I don't know why they did that. I don't know if they did that for the streaming platform I was watching it on, or if they did that in the movie, because it's a rated R movie. It wasn't like they're trying to reach the PG-13 threshold. So maybe they're trying to avoid NC-17 or something because of all the violence.
Perhaps. Maybe there is a cap. I'm not sure what the R rules are.
Well, I don't know either. But either way, it was hilarious because it's obvious. It's just everything. The music stops. It's the whole
Not even just the
movie
word.
is muted. Yeah, not just the word. Everything's muted. It's the whole movie just sort of stopped for a second. There's a silent moment. It was really jarring.
Editing is hard.
It is, but I did not do a good job with that. So Carter insists he doesn't know anything, so Connor just kills him in a hunt. He, says, start running, you know what the deal is, and he starts running, and all of him and his buddies turn into wolves and chase him down.
What?
And
Just because he doesn't know anything?
because he was talking to Cayden and telling him about Connor.
Okay, sure. That seems like a very
Connor's a bad dude, Danielle.
dog-eat-dog world.
You know how literal that is. So Cayden hears the screams while on his bike home, and he goes to investigate because that seems like a good idea.
Yeah, why not? He's invincible. He just murdered 8 people.
So then he finds Angel out in the woods, also investigating the screams, and she's like, they've killed somebody, and she needs to find out who it is. Why does she need to find out who it is? Don't ask questions.
She's involved.
So they
Sam.
sneak around, and they find a little campsite in the woods where all the wolfed out dudes are eating Carter.
Okay.
And Connor seems to spot them, and they vamoose.
Cannibal kid. Very literal.
Yeah, right? But these are literal cannibals because they're not just eating people, they're eating other werewolves. Weird. Back in the woods, Cayden vomits a safe distance away, and Angel reveals she knows he's a wolf. They both go back to the farm, and John and his wife apologize to Cayden. They reveal that his mother was John's niece, and how werewolves came over on the first ships and paired up with the locals, thinning the breed.
So he is actually his nephew or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay. Is
Well,
Angel
great-nephew or
also a
something.
wolf? Did she say that? Whether?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so they're both wolves.
Also, the whole idea of imperialist wolves is, I don't know, kind of terrifying and hilarious at the same time.
I hadn't even gotten to that part yet.
Yeah, because imperialism is bad enough, but you throw in some werewolves into the mix, the Mayflower brought over werewolves.
Doesn't it make it almost better, though? I don't know, somehow.
No, because they immediately say how they, bred with the locals, and it, diluted their blood. It's already super racist.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even get into that earlier when you mentioned that there's a split between the bitten and the pure blood, and I was like, sure.
Yeah, but not just the pure blood, but the ones they bred with when they were here.
Yeah.
So it's there's a lot of icky racial things in this movie. It's
That's
bad.
Often true in supernatural stuff.
So John goes on to explain that infected, quote unquote, not pure blood wolves are weaker, and Connor is one of the last purebred for miles. So
How do you get infected?
just like normal.
But he bit that girl earlier. She didn't turn into one.
He didn't bite him. She scratched him. Well, I guess she bit him but that was before he fully transformed.
Then it doesn't count. Sorry, I forgot the
I
rules.
don't know, Danielle. This movie's making it up as it goes, so am I.
That seems realistic. I'm willing to give you that.
So John goes on to explain that Connor apparently took a liking to Cayden's mom, Lucinda, who was another purebred. And he's like, well, she's the only other purebred here. We're destined to be together to continue the purebred line.
So Connor was into whose mom?
Lucinda, Cayden's mom.
Cayden's mom. How old is Connor in comparison to Cayden?
Apparently old enough, although he looks about the same age.
I was like, he can't maybe that's what.
I mean, I don't know how old Jason Momoa is at this point, but like, because I get into this, Connor raped Cayden's mom, and that's how Cayden came to be.
Okay, sure.
So he took a liking to Lucinda, Cayden's mom, and he took her by force, is the euphemism they use. And apparently Lucinda's dad was really upset about this, was like threatening to kill Lucinda.
Go figure.
Because misogyny.
Yeah.
And then John faked Lucinda's death to protect her from her father's wrath and hid her in his basement until Cayden was born and put up for adoption to protect Cayden from Connor and or Lucinda's father. And then his mother, Lucinda, killed herself out of despair or something.
That was wild. What a story.
Yeah, big expedition dump. And I'm like, I don't know if Jason Momoa was really old enough to be his father, but maybe wolves don't age at the same rate. I don't know.
I'm going to go with that.
So Lucinda's death is what drove Connor to form a savage pack and become even worse, changing a bunch of random people, infecting them to be his lackeys and spending more and more time as wolves and less time in their human forms.
And do they eventually turn into a wolf fully if they don't go back into their human forms?
I don't think so. I don't think it's a problem.
Oh, okay. I think I know too much werewolf lore. And so now I'm like, I feel like there should be more to the story than there is.
All the werewolf lore you know is irrelevant and doesn't matter for this movie. It has its own rules.
Because some of it's interesting.
The full moon doesn't seem to matter except when it does, and nothing else seems to matter. It's just like they're like Transformers.
Excellent. Werewolves. What is it? Wolves? Wolves 2, Transformers.
It's Wolves 2, Wolves in Disguise.
Wolves in Disguise.
All right. The problem is, Connor is getting old, and he's thinking about his legacy as he wants a son.
He's not that old as an actor.
No, he isn't. But I'm like, I guess they think Jason Momoa looks like he's past his prime. This is like 2014 Jason Momoa, who is still looking like freaking Jason Momoa.
This movie is so confusing.
And so Connor wants to have a son with Angel, because she's another one of the purebred. Her and her sister are the other purebreds who are left in the town.
Well, what's he waiting on? Apparently he doesn't need permission.
Well, because she's just come of age.
Oh, okay, there's a line. I'm sorry.
I didn't make up this dumb story. That's what they go with. So Angel, who is there, is like, yeah, I agreed to this because the only way to protect everyone, because if I don't agree, Connor will kill all my friends and family in the town. She's like, I have to do this. If I give him a son, he'll let me go and I'll be free because I've always wanted to see a city and get out of this town, but he won't let me go.
So he's willing to kill a bunch of werewolves to bring out one pure werewolf.
One that's his son, Danielle. It's like Henry VIII, right? You know, he murdered a bunch of people to get a son. So
yeah,
I don't
but
think it's that
he
far.
had a lot more people to play with. The werewolf population of Lupine Ridge seems to be 50 people?
Well, less, but there are also a whole bunch of other werewolves back east where the old alliance are.
Yes, of course. I forgot. Sorry, imperialistic werewolves.
They're the imperialistic ones, yes, on the East Coast. And maybe some in the old country. Who knows?
This is very confusing.
This movie does not care a lick for consistency as long as it gets its characters to behave the way it wants them to.
Perfect. So Angel has agreed.
Also, this is, again, very Henry VIII, because why does he need a son to carry on his legacy? Because the female werewolves seem just as badass.
I
also,
don't know the answer to that.
How is she going to guarantee him a son? Can werewolves control that?
I don't know if you'd want more, sons or daughters. Daughters can, produce more werewolves in that you only need one male to produce as many werewolves as you want.
I don't know, Danielle. It doesn't make any sense to me. Because she's like, I'll just give him a son. You can't just how do you know it's going to work the first time?
Maybe they can predetermine their gene line.
I was asking the question, but I don't think that makes any sense to me. Because it doesn't work for anything, wolves included.
These are werewolves, Sam. They operate with magic.
No, I don't know. No. So Cayden is not on board with this. Angel says, you shouldn't have come back here. You're too good for this place. And Cayden's like, no, I'm not. I killed my parents. And Angel's like, my dad was a drunk. He killed my mom one full moon. And when he came around, he killed himself. But we've always wondered, me and my sister, was the wolf that killed my mom or the man?
Uh-huh.
And that's as deep as this movie gets.
I figured.
Also, why is a full moon relevant? Because they can just change whatever they want. But apparently it's a thing still, but also not. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
Does the full moon come into play later in the movie?
No.
That's a choice.
I mean, yes and no. They mention it, but it doesn't have any effect on anything. It's just it's a full moon. I guess it's better hunting because it's light out or something. I don't know. It doesn't matter. So then Angel gets him to run through the woods and the field as she gives a voiceover about how heightened senses connected us with nature, feel your instincts, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And how they have to control and use their power, protect the ones they love. She's not saying this. It's just a voiceover she has. So I don't know if they're communicating psychically or if Cayden is just getting it.
I'd
but
like to think
who
it's
knows?
psychically.
So they end up in a barn. Angel insists on having sex with Cayden in the barn because, they just ran through some woods together, so of course.
Yeah, I mean, that's what one does.
Cayden is like, I can't because I'll probably become a wolf and kill you like I attacked my ex-girlfriend.
Also, is he of age?
He's 17, and she's probably also around 17, 18, who knows?
Well, of age, and we're assuming maybe he's 18, like a regular
I'm really,
human.
really hoping it is.
Then he is not of age either, though it is consensual between these two people.
And Angel's like, no biggie. If anything were to happen to me, that's how I'd want it. And I'm like, wait, what? I'm willing to risk death for sex. I mean, that seems fair for teenagers, actually, but...
It's the most realistic part of this whole movie.
Actually, kind of, yeah. I take it back. I'm sorry, movie. And they go at it, and they both turn a bit and bite each other, and it's like kind of really goofy. It's like they don't look good transformed. It looks like creepy monsters. It's funny. We fade out. We come back later. John appears like, hello, John, come into the barn. Make sure you're decent kind of thing. Catching them post-sexual activity. And it's like a big joke to everyone. And later that night, John is arguing with some townspeople. He called a meeting in his house. And they call themselves the Town Wolves, which I'm going to refer them from now on as because it's funny.
Love it.
And so John's like, we should take the fight to Connor, but they're all afraid and resistant. And then John spills the beans about Cayden, and everyone's like, this kid is going to stir up trouble. Connor and his pack will lose control, especially since tomorrow is the full moon. Oh, and it's Halloween tomorrow too. How convenient.
Yeah, it's always the case, Sam.
And it's always a full moon on Halloween. It's probably the 13th of Friday the 13th too.
Why not? You know what they need? They need a wolf treaty.
They have one. The wolf treaty is they give Connor Angel and he won't murder them.
See, it's about as good as the one from Red Riding Hood.
About. So Angel's sister, the drunk bartender, is also there. She cracks a joke about nothing being more Halloween than being eaten by a wolf man. And I kind of like her because she's like the most fun character in the movie because everyone else takes themselves way too seriously.
She's a humor.
But we don't see a lot of her, and I'm sad about that. So one of the town wolves proposes giving both Angel and Cayden to Connor. So you know what? Connor's will be killed, but at least Angel will survive, and no one else will be murdered by Connor. And then John gives a big speech about how they like to believe they have an uneasy peace with Connor, but sometimes an animal or a child go missing, and we all know who does this. And I'm like, wait a minute, Connor's murdering children too? And Joe's like, nah, it's probably fine.
It's good.
We have an uneasy peace. It's totally cool. It's like, no, that's not good. That's not an uneasy peace.
It's as good as the wolf treaty. I'm telling you.
It's worse because there's no treaty. It's just them being turning a blind eye.
Well, mostly works. It's fine. We didn't need all our children anyway.
Apparently not. So then the mayor chimes in here saying, it's not fear that stops him, but practicality. Connor's pack are wolves all the time, practically. And the town's wolves haven't changed in years, some of them. So they're weaker or less practiced or whatever. So somehow that makes them weaker. And I'm like, all right, whatever. You guys, they eat your children. Maybe,
practice.
Yeah, practicality is not the reason you're not fighting them. That's it's more practical for them to eat our children than to fight them. So sick of the prattle, Cayden goes, stay in your homes, lock your doors, I'll take care of this. And he leaves. John and Angel try briefly to stop him, but no dice. So now we cut to Connor's pack. They're discussing how the town's wolves broke the pack by bringing in someone from the outside. And this pact is very, unclear in its parameters.
I have a question. Why is Cayden so invested in this little town?
Because he's got the hots for Angel.
That's literally the only reason he plans to kill non-Cameron. What's his name?
Connor.
I
just said it. Pretty much because of Angel. Yeah, I mean, yes, he's a teenager with a infatuation with another teenager. He's going to kill Connor because also, maybe something about, who he really is and his past and these are his people kind of thing.
Sure.
He wants to fit in.
Okay.
But mostly it's about the dumb teenage hormones.
Excellent. All right. Continue on.
So Connor concludes they have to kill the kid and they'll have to go get him. But then Cayden shows up and is like, hey, surprise, I'm here.
I'm here to be killed.
So Cayden tells Connor about his mother, and Connor tells Cayden to run till they can hunt him because he doesn't want to, he doesn't hear it. He's like, I don't believe you what you're saying.
So he fills him on the backstory about his mom?
He's like, yeah, my mom was Lucinda, and I heard you took her by force. And Connor's like, you better run because we're going to hunt you. And Cayden's like, no, I'm not going to run. You'll leave or force me to stop you.
Okay.
And Connor's like, okay, Wolf are going to stop us, kill him. And so all his cronies go after Cayden as he then runs in the woods. So he is running anyway, I guess. So Cayden managed to pick off one of the cronies, but then Connor shows up with the rest, and there's a big fight scene with Cayden in full wolf makeup. Cayden takes out a few of them, but is getting injured and beat up. And then Connor grabs him by the throat, but Cayden slashes Connor and then gets away and runs.
Does he do any, like, sick football moves? Using his past? That's a shame, because what's the point of having him be a football player if he doesn't like...
Apparently he is just an expert wolf fighter. And the fight scenes are actually not bad when you can see what's going on, but there's a lot of shaky cut cam, quick cut cam.
Of course.
So injured, Cayden is trapped on the edge of a cliff, and so the other wolves are approaching him, and he just dives off. And somehow he survives this massive drop. And Connor and the rest of the wolves just sort of like look down and go like, yeah, he's probably dead, and they leave. Even though Cayden's just lying there, practically dead, having flashbacks, and Connor and the rest could have just walked down there and killed him really easily, like made sure.
What is he having flashbacks of?
Just the movie that we've seen so far.
Okay.
Nothing interesting.
It's like murdering his parents, which we still aren't 100% sure if he did or not, but probably did.
That's when Wild Joe walks out.
Oh, yeah, Wild Joe.
He's the thing.
The guy who wouldn't just tell him about the city. He had to, show it on a dart map.
So Wild Joe's like, you don't look so good. Now get up. And he, yells him back to life.
I like the idea that he's just, a wolf spirit. He's not, a real wolf.
Like a spirit guide for
yeah, he's,
Cayden.
showing up and he's like, channel your inner wolf. Be one with the wolf.
Oh, man, you have no idea how wrong you are.
Destroy the others. Did Wild Joe murder his parents?
Danielle, we'll get to all of this.
Sorry. I want Wild Joe to be behind all of this.
That'd be great. So Cayden limps back to the farm and is found by Angel, all beat up. Angel gets John to help Cayden inside and tend it to. When Cayden wakes up in a bed, he groans, I was trying not to kill them. And John is like, that was a mistake. It's life or death out here. And he's kind of right.
Why would he killed those bikers, supposedly killed his parents, he's killing people left and right.
He's got this thing about killing in quote unquote cold blood, he only kills in self-defense or whatever.
Well, they're trying to murder him, so...
I mean, Daniel, I got it, but apparently he just had to say it so the movie would go on longer, I guess, or something. I don't know.
Gives him some, so that he's not just randomly a murderer.
I don't know. It kind of is, though.
Kind of is.
So John tells Cayden he needs to change back into a wolf if he wants to live, because apparently changing into a wolf also heals you.
Okay.
But Cayden says it's too painful. So Angel starts making out with him to get him all hot and bothered enough to change involuntarily.
That's a choice. That's a way to do that.
And so I wrote in my notes, I believe this is called sexual healing.
Oh, funny.
Thank you. Solid
reference.
So after that, Angel tells him to run, as it's the only way to survive, and she leads Cayden outside. So Cayden does, all healed up, and he runs out into the woods. Back at Connor's camp, some of the pack are pretty beat up, and they won't heal like purebred wolves, because apparently purebred wolves have healing powers too. So they just got all the perks.
Oh.
Then we cut back to Cayden walking with Angel for some reason. I guess he didn't actually run away. It was just like a health jog or something.
Little spurt of energy, like a zoomie for a cat.
Yeah, something like that. It's like, get a little jog to work out the kinks of my near-death experience. Cayden is lamenting he can't go back up there. There are too many of Connor's pack. And Angel tells him, just go. Save yourself. But Cayden says he can't do that. And then he goes into the workshop where John is, who has just a bunch of manure that Cayden identifies as explosive.
Explosive manure?
I guess the fertilizer he has is explosive.
Oh, okay.
I know fertilizer can be explosive, but I don't know if this particular fertilizer is. Doesn't matter.
So who identified this?
Cayden identified that it was explosive.
Why would Cayden know that? He lives in a city town.
I had no idea. Apparently this 17-year-old football player knows about manure.
Okay. That was why I was so confused, because I thought I heard that wrong.
No, you didn't. It was just confusing. I thought I wrote it down wrong too when I saw it. So they cut to a montage of John and Cayden and the rest making a series of mines out of the manure and shotgun shells. And at this point, I think to myself, wait, they have shotguns. Why don't they just shoot Connor?
That's a great question, Sam.
I'm like, is that an option? Because nothing this movie has told me so far is not, you can't just shoot the wolf. It seems like you could just shoot the wolf. They haven't mentioned silver bullets or any of that kind of stuff.
Well, according to whatever their main, Cayden, I have a real hard time with these names. Yeah,
I noticed.
According to Cayden, can't they only die by suicide?
Well, Cayden, as you should have realized, knows the least about wolves of anybody in this movie.
I thought that originally. I don't think he knows more now.
No, he doesn't. So later that night, we cut to a van, pulling up to the house. Glass shatters, and Angel screams. Cayden runs down, but is too late, and finds a note that reads, "You are cordially invited to the mating of Connery Slaughter and Angelina Timmons. Midnight tonight."
Ew.
And that's just a gross note. It's a very gross note.
I don't like that.
No. So we cut to that night. John and his wife and Angel's sister are in a cage at Connor's camp. Apparently, every non-wolf and other town wolves have fled the town because they're like the only ones left and like no one's coming to help them. And Connor comes over to taunt John, and he's like, doesn't really believe Cayden is his son, but John's like, you better believe it. But he's like, no, John, if that were true, it means you would have lied to me these past 17 years, and you know how much you'd suffer for that.
Which makes it not true then.
Yeah, of course. But Connor turns excitedly to cheers as Angel is brought out, tied to a log, and she's propped up before the fire, ready for the ceremony. Also, John mentions that she's been drugged, but this is irrelevant because it doesn't seem to affect her at all.
Maybe just explains why she's like, doesn't leave.
Something like that. Then we cut to two of the pack, sitting watch for Cayden, moaning about how they're missing the party. A shadow moves through the woods and one of them gets his throat slit, and then the other. It's Cayden. He's out for blood. This time, he doesn't mind killing.
Apparently. He got over his brief concern about killing innocent folk.
Oh, very brief. I told you, it's all about the sexual healing. So Connor is giving a wedding speech, and when he calls for objections to their union, the lights go out.
They're getting married? They have to get married in order to mate?
That's the mating is, I guess. I don't know.
Does it
It's
matter?
a very perfunctory ceremony. No, it doesn't matter. So the lights go out, and we hear Cayden's voice coming from everywhere because I guess he's a ventriloquist now.
Did he get by a speaker system? He like put it in the trees ahead of time?
Yeah, pretty much. He's like, I gotta set this up. It's gonna be so cool. They're gonna blow their gasket, even though it's gonna take a little extra time. I don't know what's gonna happen. It's worth the effort. And he's like, I object. And didn't I tell you to leave these people alone? And Connor's like, this is my pack. They do what I tell them. And Cayden rejoins, this isn't a pack. Wolves don't terrorize towns or kidnap innocents or brutalize women. I'm like, okay, yeah, but also wolves don't like have towns at all. Like, they don't have human societal, like, none of this, like, you can't just compare, like, oh, wolves don't have grocery stores. So,
wolves don't go
what's
shopping.
your point? What's your point, Cayden? This isn't why? Why does it make any sense? Like, how are actual wolves relevant? Anyway, it's dumb. So Connor transforms as Cayden shows up. Cayden cuts Angel free during the fight while throwing some guys around. She transforms, but then Cayden runs off into the woods pursued by the pack. So, mission accomplished, I guess. Angel kills the few people left behind at the camp and releases John and the others. John immediately transforms and heads out after Cayden, and Angel's like, go save Cayden. I'm like, why don't you go after him too?
Yeah,
Angel, you seem pretty badass.
Maybe because she's drugged, Sam.
Apparently it was not enough to stop her from breaking them out and killing those other guys, so.
But running, that's where the line is with drugging.
Oh, okay, I guess. Back in the woods, Connor is in hot pursuit as Cayden leads them back to the farmhouse. John is somehow already there at the farmhouse with a gun?
He went the side direction, cut through the forest.
You think he took a shortcut or something?
Yeah.
Sure, let's go with that. Anyway, he's with a gun looking out of the upstairs window waiting. He's aiming at the mines. And then Cayden yells about giving them a chance to run. And they refuse, and John shoots the mines, killing just a bunch of Connor's men. And then John just shoots Connor's number one sidekick guy right in the head, killing him. So I guess bullets do work on werewolves.
Oh, well, that would have been nice to know earlier.
Why don't they just shoot Connor now they have the chance? But they don't, because apparently that'd be too easy.
That was my next question.
It would have been if you shot the other, you could have shot Connor from the first without even blowing up the mine, because Connor's just standing there waiting for the mine to blow up while he was getting taunted by Cayden. It could have ended the thing why did none of the townspeople stand up to Connor if all they do is shoot him?
No idea, Sam.
Anyway, after the explosion, Connor and the rest of the pack go inside a barn pursuing Cayden, but Cayden somehow gets around them and locks him inside the barn. And then John shoots through a knothole in a plank on the barn, triggering an explosion in the barn.
That is wildly specific.
How? How do you I'll have this special knothole set with a mine right in front of it so I can shoot it. It's perfect.
And I have to make it through that knothole or otherwise this whole plan will not work.
It is the dumbest thing. So the barn explodes, there's fire, whatever. I don't care, fine. Clearly they just magic wolves. Connor bursts out of the burning barn, still alive, and calls out Cayden to fight. So they go at it.
How did he survive?
That's a good question, because he's the purebred. He's the strongest.
Maybe shooting him wouldn't have worked, Sam.
It absolutely would have. They go at it. Cayden yells about how, you did this to me. You made me the monster I am. And then he gets his butt kicked a bit and Connor quips, not monster enough, apparently. Which is like pretty good line.
He's like obsessed with... Okay, so he wanted to have a son so he could carry out his purebred line, but this is his son with a purebred, like, woman.
Yeah, this is his literally legacy he wanted.
Literally,
he's like, I'm going to kill him. Like, he could have welcomed him with open arms and be like, hey, you're my son? Let's rule this town.
I keep forgetting that they're father and son because it doesn't make any sense. And then every time I remember, like, what is he doing?
It doesn't make any sense. So they fight some more. The fight goes back and forth. And then Cayden severs Connor's Achilles tendon. And Cayden downs him. And John is about to shoot him, which I guess apparently that would have worked in a solution they could have used from the start. But Cayden yells, no! And he gives a little speech about how Connor has done hideous things and deserves to die. And then Connor transforms back into a human and goes, I know, but you should know. I never took your mother by force. I loved her, and she loved me. When her father found out she was pregnant, he threatened to kill her, so I took the fall for it. They took the woman I loved away from me, so I just became the monster they always said I was. And that is not an excuse.
It is not. And what did he think happened to the child that she was pregnant with?
They all thought that she was killed before.
Like, they never got to have the baby.
Yeah, they thought they killed her immediately. They didn't know that John secreted her in the basement for, 8 months or whatever.
So John is supposedly the evil one in this situation.
Well, no, because John prevented, Lucinda's father's the evil one who's going to kill her. And then John secreted her away so that she would live and have the baby but then she killed herself.
I'm very confused in all the relationships in this town, but go ahead.
It's very simple, Danielle. Connor loved Lucinda.
But Lucinda was Angel's...
No, Lucinda's Cayden's mom.
Right, Lucinda's Cayden's mom, but who is Lucinda the daughter of?
Some other guy.
Okay.
I don't know. Doesn't matter. We don't know him.
Okay, I thought for some reason John is the brother? Who is he?
Yeah, he's the uncle of Lucinda.
Uncle of Lucinda. Okay, I think I got it.
You want me to draw you a freaking map?
Super simple.
John is Lucinda's uncle, which makes him like the grand uncle of Cayden.
The grandest uncle of them all.
Yes. So apparently, wild how this worked was Connor impregnated Lucinda. Lucinda's father was not happy about it. She's like, oh no, I totally raped her, which was supposed to let her off the hook, but that didn't stop him from wanting to kill her anyway. So that really accomplished nothing, that lie.
And then John hid her? And
then John hid Lucinda, telling, the father and everyone that, oh, she's dead, so that she'd be safe from being killed by his father. And he also thought that Connor had raped her, so he was trying to protect her from Connor as well, until she gave birth and she killed herself.
That's super convoluted.
It is very, again, why would Connor lie about them being in love? Like, they could have run off together.
And then he supposedly becomes evil because of all of this, but then doesn't have a turnaround when he meets his supposed son.
Right, he becomes evil. It's like, oh, the reason I'm so evil is because I lied about raping my love, and then they killed her, and so I became an evil person who I murder children and eat other werewolves and stuff. And he's like, that's my excuse. I'm like, that's not an excuse. But then you're right, Danielle. If that was the truth of it, why wasn't he like, you're my son? This changes everything.
Because it would.
Yeah.
At least give you pause. You wouldn't just go straight into like, I'm going to murder you.
Pause. I get it.
Oh, yeah.
I guess he is too far gone into I don't know, Danny. It's dumb. It's very dumb. I wasn't sure this movie was going to work because it wasn't weird. It was just kind of boring until this point where I'm like, none of these relationships make any sense. None of these character choices make any sense. This is so convoluted and dumb.
I just don't understand why at any point he wouldn't have even told Cayden that he loved Lucinda if he didn't have some kind of mental capacity to go, and you're my son.
Yeah, and at this point, now he's having it, he gets his butt kicked by Cayden and has an immediate change of heart now, as opposed to at any other time previous.
It does not make any sense.
No. And again, their whole plan, I gotta reiterate, from the start is stupid. If you loved each other, why lie about it being a sexual assault or a rape? Just to say, hey, this is happening, we love each other, and I'm going to protect her. Why not Connor kill the father to protect Lucinda? No one else is planning to kill her.
No idea. If you're going to kill people anyway, you might as well kill the person that's standing between you and your true love.
Right, exactly. This is the dumbest thing. If he's threatening to kill your true love, that's maybe the time you intervene and don't just go nope, that was my fault. Don't hurt her. Oh, you hurt her anyway? I guess I'm evil now.
Oh, okay. So he's on the ground.
He's on the ground, and Connor is, pouring his heart out, and Cayden's like, maybe I can make this relationship with my father work. That's when Wild Joe appears, laughing. Apparently, Wild Joe is another exile, another second cousin of Cayden's,
so
just
cousins.
He is the brother of the man they ate earlier, Carter.
Okay.
Carter was his favorite little brother.
How old is Wild Joe?
Way old.
Oh, how old was Carter?
Not as old.
I don't understand this.
Why? Why does Carter's age matter? He's like a second cousin or something. Why is their ages problematic?
Are they cousins or brothers?
They're cousins, I said.
Okay.
So Joe is brothers to Carter, and they're both cousins of Cayden.
So Joe and Carter are brothers.
Yeah.
He's really old, but Carter's young.
Well, I mean, no, Carter, they're both older than Cayden. They're like 30s.
Okay.
And Joe's like 40s or something.
Okay,
I don't know.
in my head, I don't know. Wild Joe was like 70 and Carter was like 20.
He looks old and grizzled, but he just looks like really beat up. Like their ages, I don't know. Apparently, maybe he's the oldest brother and Carter was the youngest brother.
Okay, sure.
I don't know.
Anyway, sorry. Things keep changing in my head with every new description and story plot.
You just keep being confused on who Cayden, Carter, and Connor are.
I mean, that is completely fair. But I was also confused on the relationships.
I think you thought that I said Joe was Connor's or Cayden's brother, but he's Carter's brother.
Yeah, okay, sure. I just don't understand the ages of anybody in this story, but it's fine.
No, that part doesn't make any sense either. It doesn't matter. So, is another exile of Connor's who was sent away for being too brutal and wild. Again, I don't know why Connor just didn't kill him like he kills everyone else, but he's like, no, you gotta go free. But now, Joe has contrived to take down Connor by using Cayden. It was Joe who tracked down Cayden and killed his parents so he could lead him here to kill Connor.
See, I told you.
Well, you told you after I told him that Joe was not a good guy.
You didn't specifically say that. You just said that he appeared, and I said, is he a mentor or whatever? And he said something.
Quite the opposite.
And then I asked if he was behind everything.
And I thought, again, it's a very convoluted and very stupid plan, because his plan was murder Cayden's parents, right? Make it look like Cayden did it, and then expect that Cayden would run for it as opposed to being arrested or turning himself in or anything else, and then happen to meet up with Cayden at this bar and lure him into a conversation to send him to Lupine Ridge, and then count on Cayden attacking and defeating Connor when he gets there, as opposed to what really should have happened, which is Connor welcoming him back as his son with open arms.
Yes. I can only assume that he hoped for the first part of the plan that he would run for it, and then he stalked him so that he would actually meet him at a bar. Because otherwise, I just like the idea that for 3, 4, 5 days, he just waited at a bar and hoped that maybe he would show up.
That's what I thought in my head. That was funnier too. But yeah, he probably stalked him. But even sending him to Lupine Ridge.
I know, crazy.
Wouldn't oh yeah, you'll totally kick the butt of this guy who's been a werewolf for decades longer than you and is very powerful and you're new to it. I'm sure you're going to kick his butt. And also you're his son. I'm sure that won't play into this at all.
And everybody will act exactly as I intend them to act.
Yeah, no, it's such a stupid plan. It should not have worked. So Cayden is rightly pissed about the frame job, and Cayden attacks Joe, but it's just slapped aside because apparently Cayden is just too exhausted from his fight with Connor.
He was fine up until this point.
Pretty much. So Joe transforms into a wolf, and Connor stands up. He then taunts Joe about how he ate his brother 2 days ago, and then Joe slashes Connor's throat, killing him.
Well, that's fast.
But Connor manages to wound Joe in the process. Joe then turns to Cayden and begins to strangle him when John appears and shoots Joe, because John, who was watching from that window this whole time with his gun, decided to wait until this moment and come all the way downstairs to shoot at Joe.
He's like, maybe he'll kill Connor first.
And it's dumb. So he gets one shot into him, his shoulder, and then Joe runs off, and Cayden pursues, but they're both limping really badly, so it's this slow speed chase as they're both stumbling across the field. It's really funny. So Cayden manages to catch up and knock Joe down, and Joe is like, what are you gonna do? Kill me now?
Yes. Do it.
Well, you should know, real wolves only kill for food or defense. You, as a human being, will be called a murderer, and you're not a cold-blooded killer.
He's just killed 20 people.
I know, but that was all self-defense. That was all protecting others. You're just gonna kill me when I'm down, weak, and not attacking you.
Kill him.
And Cayden's I've already killed tonight because of you. And Joe gets up and is no, because you had to. Connor made us this way. I killed the monster that made you. We're even now.
What? No, kill him. Kill him.
So Cayden turns away and is it's true. I've never killed anyone in cold blood. I mean, except for those 2 guys you murdered out in the woods who were just sitting there. But he's but life is complicated and you ain't my effing parents. But again, they just blank out the F part. So again, it's really funny.
Kill him.
And so anyway, Cayden takes Joe's cigarette out of his mouth and turns around and walks away and then turns back and tosses on the ground and then backs up. And it just so happens a cigarette landed on top of one of the mines.
Oh, yeah.
And blows up Joe, but also knocks out Cayden. And apparently a cigarette on top of dirt can trigger a mine?
It's explosive poop, Sam.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
So he didn't mean to kill him. It was just pure accident.
No, he meant to. He was like aiming the cigarette at the mine.
Oh, see, murder. He killed him.
So we cut to the morning. Cayden is in bed with Angel. They wake up. The farm is in smoldering ruins as they bury the bodies in the field. And John's like, that'll be good compost for the crops. I'm like, oh, dark.
Ew. This corn's delicious this time of year.
Cayden tells John he has to go. And John's like, you always have a home here. He's like, I know, but we have to go because Angel needs to get out of here and get out of the town for a while and see a city because she's always wanted to visit a city.
But he's still wanted for murder.
Don't worry about that, Danielle.
He's on all the news channels.
Apparently, everyone just forgot about that. Now that he's killed Connor, his life is free and clear.
That's not how it works.
I think
he's the cannibal kid.
I think the police will be like totally cool. Like, oh, you killed Wild Joe? The guy who actually, oh, you're totally cool with us now. Werewolves, you say? Got it. It makes total sense.
Oh my gosh, this movie.
So as they pack up, John gives him an illustrated family tree of all the wolf lines, which you could have used earlier to make sense of the family relationships.
We might have to put that somewhere because I don't think anybody's going to be follow it as much as I did either.
I mean, maybe. I'll try to find a screenshot.
You can build one.
And so he calls it names you can look for back east. I'm like, look for, like, look out for, or like look for friends or foes? Like, that's unclear.
Who knows? That's what Wolves 2 is, Sam.
Wolves 2, Electric Wolfaloo.
Imperialist wolves.
Imperialist wolves, right. They shake hands and hug, and then John cries. Rock music about wolves plays as Cayden and Angel get on his motorcycle and drive off. Then there are a bunch of photos of the wolf costumes that are shown behind the credits. The end.
This movie.
Because they're very proud of their wolf special effects.
Oh my gosh, well, it's because they spent all their money on Sam. It clearly was not script writing.
That's right. You can see, Danielle. So that is 2014's Wolves, a movie that was way less fun than it should have been because could have been dumb wolf fun, besides to be like Dawson's Creek levels of relationship drama instead with like werewolves as a side plot.
Jason Momoa, what are you doing? Oh my goodness. So at what point, Sam, were you like, oh my gosh, what if Danielle has seen this?
I figured this might have been something you'd seen. One, because it's werewolves and you like that kind of stuff. But two, once I started getting like relationship drama heavy, I'm like, no, this is Danielle's kind of thing.
You're like, Dawson's Creek. Oh, Danielle. Danielle might have seen this movie.
I'm like, this could have been something Danielle watched on TV at one point.
At like 2 a.m. while she was tired.
Yeah, exactly. It could have been like one of you like, oh, a werewolf movie about relationship drama and love triangles. Sign me up. And the father and son love triangle, even better.
Ew. I hadn't even like gotten that far in my head.
This movie is wild, Danielle. It's crazy.
Many layers of wolves.
I guess I was really hoping like a fun werewolf romp, something more like American Werewolf in Paris or something like that, but it was really not about the werewolves.
This is like the first movie where there were so many things that I couldn't even like get to all of the things that were bothering me.
Let's have a little recap, Danielle, things that were bothering you.
Well, apparently that I didn't even like catch that they were in a love triangle with a father and son in the same relationship, even though, yes, they were.
I mean, it can be fair, it's barely a love triangle. She's not interested in Connor at all.
No,
like,
but
this is
still,
more...
it's even grosser. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so there's that. There's like the whole first like 20 minutes of the movie. I thought, okay, this would be like a fun thing where he's like, oh, he turned into a wolf and he's trying to come to terms with it. And he kills his parents. He's trying to control himself. He's trying to wrestle with the morality of being a werewolf who can't control himself. Like your standard sort of werewolf thing about, you know, losing control and losing your humanity. And it's just not that at all.
It's not. And even when he gets into the small town and then it becomes more of a classic story of like, meeting this group of people that you identify with or whatever, and there's all this town politics that you didn't realize. But they don't even really go into that. The like town kind of deserts him and is like, good luck out there, buddy.
Yeah, it's not about the town. It's about a father-son relationship.
That doesn't even like react in a way that anybody would actually have a father-son relationship. He doesn't even acknowledge that's his son.
I was legitimately shocked at the very end when Connor's like, let me tell you something. I loved your mother. Like, whoa. where is this like anti-heel turn? Like suddenly we have to redeem Connor, even though he's a murderer who was planning on raping Angel.
Whatever.
He's like suddenly, he's not really a bad guy. He loved his mother. Like, no. Why are we suddenly trying to do this about face on Connor?
Plot
it was
twist.
so abrupt. It was like immediate. I'm like, whoa, we do not need this.
Some odd choices.
Crazy.
Wow. That was a movie, Sam.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing that to the table.
I mean, it was way less horror than I thought it would be, but it was something.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, so I've done 2 spook retorts with wolves, and one of them, I don't know which one was worse. Like, I don't know if the creepy sexual blackmail of the Monster Squad is worse than...
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Why would you bring that up again?
Because I'm trying to compare it to the awful sexual politics of wolves.
Well, maybe we should leave it up to our listeners.
Yeah, I'm not qualified to judge this, I'll be honest. This is like beyond me.
If you have a degree in wolf politics.
I am desperate for the more interesting parts. Like everything that the story talked about that wasn't the story is way more interesting. Like I want to know about the Mayflower wolves. I want to know about the colonial imperialist wolves. That's like way more interesting of a story.
I want to know about the wolf on the cross-country trek across America learning about himself.
A la the Incredible Hulk TV show. Yeah, totally.
I'm there for that story if anybody's written or has a movie like that.
Like a wandering wolf trying to do good things while in monster form and constantly worried about hurting people. That's a great story. But instead we got wolves, which also is the hardest title to search for. Because if you just search for wolves, you get everything but this movie.
That's fair. And they're not even real, like, they're wolves, but they're not quite wolves.
They're not even like regular, like, they have none of the werewolf like problems of, full moon, silver bullet, immortality, that's a curse. It's just, oh yeah, we can like Hulk out into wolves whenever we want. And apparently there's also this weird blood politics about who's pure and who's not. And that's not cool.
Which doesn't really even play much into it in the end.
No. I mean, it only was there to give Connor an excuse to want to mate with Lucinda and Angelina.
For something he already had.
Yeah. But like, you don't need that excuse. Like, they could just like each other. Weird. Anyway, that was a movie that I watched. And yeah, that happened.
It's like 50% of our movies. Well, that was a movie I watched.
It was very weird, Danielle. Like, I think you can't deny it's probably one of the weirder werewolf movies we've ever done on this podcast.
And we have done a couple, apparently.
Yeah.
It's a theme.
Anyway, if anyone out there has a suggestion for a werewolf movie that involves the cross-country werewolves or the imperialist or hoi polloi fancy wolves of the East Coast of the Hamptons, let me know, because I want to watch both those movies.
Yes, or if you want to throw in which wolf you think is worse, the ones from Wolves or the ones from Monster Squad. We'd be happy to do that,
Monster
too.
Squad was fine. The Wolf of Monster Squad was
other
great.
than murdering, he's fine.
I mean, but that was like werewolves do. Like, he was, like, the kids were worse in the movie. The kids were the worst thing in that movie.
I'm going to say that the reason why Monster Squad threw me off is because I still thought the monsters maybe had some redeeming qualities or were like, they're going to have further character development. And then when he murdered somebody, I was like, wait, what's going on in this movie?
Nope. They were just murderous monsters stopped by a bunch of terrible, exploitative children.
Yeah, the reason why I thought that the monsters were better is because the children were so awful.
I know, right? So that's that's a whole different thing. Like, obviously the Wolfman in Monster Squad is way better because at least he was like, in his human form, he felt compassion and remorse for his wolf actions that he had no control over.
Oh my gosh. Both are interesting wolf representations, though.
Anyway, so that's just something to chew on. I'd love to see some good or at least better werewolf movies out there.
They exist. I know they do.
So if you have one or you want to explain the family tree to Danielle for these wolf relationships in this movie.
Oh, that was hard.
It was hard. You can find us at bookretorts.com.
You can also tweet, Instagram, or Facebook us at Book Retorts.
And if you want more of our nonsense, you can support us at patreon.com/bookretorts.
Book Retorts.
And until next time, I guess just avoid Lupine Ridge as if you needed any clue.
Full moon, not that it matters.
Not that it matters. Until next time, bye.
Take care, everybody. like how I got progressively more confused by like the characters and what the relationships were to each other. At the end, I was like, wait, what are we talking about?
I honestly think like half of that was just you not remembering when I said Connor or Cayden. Like I may have screwed up a few times. Who knows?
It's possible. Like I definitely got confused at one point as to who you were talking about, and then I realized all three of them had C names. I was like, whoa.
like I definitely might have slipped up with Cayden, Connor, Carter, and whoever at some point.
I swear
That's
I had Cameron in my head. I wonder if you said Cameron at any point on accident, or if I just invented
maybe
it.
Our listeners will tell us. I don't think I said Cameron, but there's a distinct possibility I kept on screwing up their names when I was writing my notes too.
Yeah, I definitely, in my head there was a Cameron, and when you said there was not, it was like completely thrown off. I was like, wait.